Deep in the woods, a human recon squad creeps through the trees, following Apes soldiers they cruelly call donkeys. They think they've found Caesar's hidden base, so they attack first, blasting open trenches and mowing down Ape defenders. But the woods belong to Caesar. Smoke fills the battlefield, Ape cavalry crash through the haze, and the hunters suddenly become the hunted. When the dust settles, Caesar walks through the dead like a king crossing a graveyard. He faces the surviving humans, and in one cold, unforgettable moment, he tells them he did not start this war. Koba did. Koba is dead. And now Caesar fights only to protect Apes. Instead of killing the prisoners, he lets them go with a message for the colonel: leave the Apes alone, and the killing can stop. It is mercy, but it lands like a threat. Right away, the movie makes one thing clear: Caesar still wants peace, but peace is already slipping out of his hands. Then the movie slows down just enough to make the next tragedy hurt more. Back at the Ape sanctuary hidden behind the waterfall, Caesar reflects on Koba, admitting that even now the ghost of that betrayal still haunts him. And that is what makes the next moment feel so painfully human. Blue Eyes returns from a scouting mission with Rocket, exhausted but full of hope. He has found something no one has seen in a long time: a future. Beyond the mountains lies a desert, and beyond that, an oasis where the Apes can start over. For a brief stretch, the film lets us breathe. Caesar embraces his son, Cornelius meets his older brother, the tribe gathers around the promise of a new home, and for one flicker of time, feels like the war may finally end. But fear is already spreading through the colony. Winter, shaken by the brutality of the human campaign, urges Caesar to leave immediately. Caesar stays calm, tells his people they will find a safe way out, and reminds them of the one truth holding the tribe together: Apes together strong. It should feel inspiring. Instead, it feels like the last peaceful sentence before a scream. And then, just when the audience starts to believe escape is possible, the film rips that hope away in silence and darkness. In the middle of the night, the colonel and his men infiltrate the Ape stronghold. Caesar hears movement, senses something is wrong, and races through the shadows as the attack unfolds. He catches only fragments, radio whispers, gunfire, bodies moving through the dark. By the time he reaches his family, it is already too late. Cornelia is dead. Blue Eyes is dead. The colonel had come to kill Caesar, but in the darkness he murdered Caesar's wife and son instead. Caesar is left with just enough family to keep going, and just enough loss to be destroyed by it. There is no speech here that can fix anything. No wise leadership, no strategy, just Caesar kneeling beside the bodies of the people he loved most. This is the moment he stops being a leader trying to save his people and becomes a father burning for revenge. Here is where Caesar makes the choice that defines the entire rest of the film. The tribe is preparing to leave for the oasis, and every instinct says their leader should go with them, but Caesar cannot let go. He places Cornelius in Lake's care, tells his surviving son to go with the others, and chooses a different path. Not them, he says, him. He is not chasing an army now. He is chasing one man. Morris, Rocket, and Luca understand immediately that this is no longer strategy. It is grief wearing the mask of duty. And because they love Caesar, they refuse to let him walk into that darkness alone. So while the rest of the Apes head toward the desert and whatever future might still exist, this small group rides north on a mission that already feels cursed. The pacing here is perfect for a recap because the film turns from war epic into revenge western. Horses moving through ash-colored landscapes, silence between friends, and the weight of everything Caesar is not saying. He wants the audience to believe this is justice. But even before the journey is over, you can feel Koba's shadow growing closer with every mile. The road north gives them their first reminder that the world is dying in more ways than one. In an abandoned human settlement, Caesar kills a lone human man in self-defense, but the real shock comes when they find a little girl hiding nearby. She is frightened, dirty, and unable to speak. Caesar wants to keep moving, because in his eyes every delay brings the colonel farther away. But Morris sees something different. He sees innocence. He sees a child who will die alone if they leave her behind. So against Caesar's better judgment, he takes her with them. It is a small act, but it changes the emotional temperature of the movie. Suddenly, in the middle of all this hate, there is still room for compassion. The girl says nothing, but her face says everything. She becomes a living reminder that not every human is the enemy, and that matters because Caesar is starting to forget that distinction. Caesar getting colder, Morris getting softer, and this silent child standing between their two views of the world like a fragile last chance for mercy. That tension explodes when they find Winter. The nervous albino gorilla who begged Caesar to flee earlier is now hiding among the human soldiers, and in seconds the truth is exposed. Winter betrayed them. He gave the colonel their location because he was terrified, and that fear got Blue Eyes and Cornelia killed. Worse, he reveals that the colonel is heading north to a border base, where something even bigger is waiting. Caesar doesn't strike him with calculated justice. He loses control. He grabs Winter by the throat, consumed by rage, and by the time he stops, Winter is dead. It is one of the most important moments in the film, because Caesar has just crossed a line he would once have hated in Koba, and the movie doesn't let him shake it off. Almost immediately, the group witnesses human soldiers executing their own wounded men. They find one survivor who cannot speak, just like the girl. That is the first sign that the virus has changed again, and the war is no longer just apes against humans. Humanity is collapsing from the inside, so now Caesar is chasing a murderer into the middle of a species-wide breakdown. Just when the film threatens to drown in despair, it throws in one strange, unforgettable figure. Bad Ape. After one of their horses is stolen, the group tracks the thief and discovers a scruffy, nervous chimp hiding in the snow. He talks in broken words, moves like a frightened survivor, and at first feels almost comic. But beneath the humor is one of the saddest ideas in the movie. Bad Ape lived alone after humans got sick. Apes got smart, and soldiers killed the apes around him. He escaped a zoo and survived by running, hiding, and never trusting anyone. Through him, Caesar learned something huge. His tribe is not the only intelligent ape community in the world. The plague changed more than his own people. Bad Ape also knows about a human zoo, an old quarantine camp turned military stronghold in the mountains. That is where the colonel is headed. So the journey continues, now through snow and ice instead of forest and mud. And the movie shifts again. Revenge is still driving Caesar, but the world around him is becoming stranger, broader, and more tragic. There are survivors everywhere, but no one is whole anymore. And then, the cost of Caesar's obsession becomes impossible to ignore. Near the border base, the group moves in to scout the camp, but a human patrol catches them first. Luca throws himself into the line of fire to protect Caesar and takes the fatal hit. His final words are devastating because they are not about war, revenge, or victory. They are about loyalty. At least this time, he says, he was able to protect Caesar. Even in dying, he serves. Nova places a flower in his fur, and the image says more than any speech could. It is gentle, heartbreaking, and perfect for a recap beat that needs the audience to stop scrolling and feel something. Morris sees what Caesar is becoming and finally says the thing no one else will say. Now you sound like Koba. That line cuts deeper than any weapon because it names Caesar's greatest fear. Koba was born from pain, then consumed by hate. Caesar has spent years proving he is different. Now, with Luca dead and the colonel close, he sends the others away and keeps going alone, as if losing everyone around him is somehow the price of finishing this. Now comes one of the film's darkest reveals. Caesar slips into the mountain facility, expecting to find the colonel. Instead, he finds his own people. The apes who were supposed to be on their way to freedom have been captured, caged, starved, and forced to build a massive defensive wall. Cornelius is there. Lake is there. The whole tribe is there. Before he can act, Red captures him and drags him before the colonel. Their confrontation is pure fire. Caesar says he came for the colonel. The colonel answers almost like a priest welcoming a sinner to confession. He explains that the army from the north is not coming to help him. They are coming against him. The wall the apes are building is not for conquest. It is for survival. Suddenly, the conflict gets more twisted. The humans are fighting each other. The apes are enslaved in the middle, and Caesar is trapped face-to-face with the man who killed his family. This is no longer a revenge chase. It is a prison story, and Caesar is now inside the cage. This is the section where the movie stops being a simple war between good and evil and becomes something far more disturbing. The colonel explains that the simian flu has mutated. It no longer just kills humans. Now it strips away speech, thought, memory, everything that makes them recognizably human. He saw it happen to his own son, and to stop the infection from spreading, he killed him with his own hands. That trauma broke whatever humanity he had left. He began killing infected soldiers, burning contaminated belongings, executing anyone who resisted. His own superiors tried to stop him, believing a cure was still possible. So he turned against them too. In his mind, this is not madness. It is purification, a holy war. He says that if humans lose, the world will become a planet of apes and humanity will fall into cattle. The terrifying thing is not that he believes it. The terrifying thing is that Caesar can understand how pain turned him into this. They are mirror images in different uniforms, to leaders who lost children, to fathers broken by war, to men telling themselves their violence is necessary. The scene doesn't excuse the colonel. It makes him more dangerous by making him understandable. After that revelation, Caesar is reduced to almost nothing. He is whipped, starved, hung in the cold, and left to watch his people suffer while he can do nothing to stop it. This stretch is brutal because the film is stripping away not just his strength, but his certainty. Koba even returns, not in flesh, but as a hallucination crawling out of the darkness, whispering that all the apes will die here. It is one of the most powerful visual callbacks in the trilogy. Caesar is not fighting the colonel anymore. He is fighting the part of himself that wanted to become Koba. But even here, Mercy finds him again. The mute girl sneaks into the camp and brings him water and food. Morris later gives her a name, Nova, linking her to the future of this world. Then Rocket does something heroic and quietly devastating. He gets himself captured on purpose so he can help Caesar from inside. While Caesar suffers in chains, Morris and Bad Ape search for a way into the prison from outside. For the first time since his family died, Caesar is forced to stop moving and start seeing. Hate got him here. Love may be the only thing that gets anyone out. Then comes the turn the audience has been waiting for. Morris and Bad Ape discover underground tunnels leading beneath the cages, and the escape begins in secret. One by one, the weakest apes and the children are guided down into the dark, while the humans remain distracted by their own coming war. Caesar, once blind with revenge, finally sees what matters. Not killing the colonel, saving his people. Yet even at this moment, the movie refuses to make his redemption easy. Caesar admits Morris was right. He has become like Koba. He could not escape his hate. That confession matters because it is the exact opposite of the colonel, who justifies himself until the bitter end. Caesar changes because he finally recognizes the damage inside himself. So he helps the apes escape, sends Cornelius and the others down the tunnel toward freedom, and then makes one final dangerous choice. He still goes back for the colonel, not because revenge is all he has left, but because he believes the war cannot end while that man still stands. It is the perfect cliffhanger before the final act. The apes are escaping, the armies are closing in, and Caesar is walking into the fire one last time. In the middle of that chaos, Morris, Rocket, Bad Ape, Nova, and the others push the tribe toward freedom through the tunnels and up the cliffs. Caesar moves the other way, through smoke and fire, straight toward the colonel's quarters. This is where the film becomes almost biblical in scale. The humans are so consumed by their own war that they barely notice the apes slipping away beneath them. The wall, the cages, the punishments, all the machinery of control begins to break apart in minutes. Then sudden silence as Caesar reaches the room he's been chasing the whole film to find. The audience thinks this is where revenge finally happens. Instead, the film delivers something colder, stranger, and far more powerful. When Caesar finally stands before the colonel again, revenge is no longer possible in the way he imagined it. The colonel has been infected by the mutated virus, likely through Nova's doll, and he can no longer speak. The man who built his entire identity around preserving human speech and thought has already lost both. Caesar raises his weapon, and this is the decision the whole film has been driving toward. Kill him and complete the cycle. Or walk away and break it. Caesar chooses mercy. He leaves the colonel alive with his own ruin, and the colonel, unable to accept what he has become, takes his own life. But the film is not done punishing Caesar. As he moves to destroy the base, Preacher, one of the soldiers Caesar spared at the beginning, shoots him. Mercy comes back as pain. And in one final reversal, Red the ape who served the humans out of fear redeems himself by killing Preacher before dying himself. That one beat is so important. Even Red, the donkey, finds his soul again before the end. In the middle of total destruction, the movie still gives redemption to the ones you least expect. Now the ending rises to full myth. Wounded but still moving, Caesar triggers the fuel tank explosion, and the blast tears through the mountain. Fire rolls across the battlefield. Then the mountain itself answers. An avalanche crashes down on both human armies, swallowing soldiers, weapons, hatred, banners, all of it beneath a wall of white. The apes race upward through the trees, while the human war below is erased by nature in seconds. It is not just an action climax, it is judgment. All the arrogance of human power, all the obsession with control, all the promises of extermination vanish under snow and silence. And Caesar, bleeding out, still keeps climbing until he knows his people are safe. This is what makes him more than a leader. By the end of the film, he becomes a legend. Not because he won a war, but because when revenge had every reason to consume him, he still dragged his people through the fire toward life. The final minutes hit because the film does not rush them. After all the smoke, blood, and snow, the apes finally reach the oasis Blue Eyes once promised. Water, green land, open sky, a place that feels almost impossible after everything we've seen. Nova is there, Cornelius is there, Morris is there. The tribe has made it. And only then does Caesar allow himself to stop. Morris sees the wound. He understands immediately. Caesar was dying the moment he chose to keep walking. In one last, quiet exchange, Morris promises that Cornelius will know who his father was and what he did for his people. That is the true ending of Caesar's story. Not the avalanche, not the war, not the colonel's death. Legacy, a father who could not save everyone, could not keep his own darkness from touching him, but still led his people to a home they never thought they would see. Caesar looks out over the promised land, finally at peace, and dies there like a king who gave everything so others could live. It is a powerful cinematic conclusion because it feels earned. The war is over, but the cost is written on every face. Caesar does not live to enjoy the world he saved, he only makes sure it exists.